because I feel like if you do make it too personal, people can't like connect with it. You know what I mean? I feel like if you leave stuff more like open ended, if they just see a house with like a light on, it's like you can't see into it or anything like that. You don't see anyone. It's kind of like I think you can relate to it more.
Welcome to the Flying Fruit Bowl, a platform dedicated to the discussion and expression of art and the creative process. In this episode, I had the chance to talk to the incredible Jake T. Fox. Jake is a photographer based in Western Pennsylvania who captures intriguing and often disquieting nightscapes with an emphasis on exploring our relationship with the houses we live in. I thoroughly enjoyed my conversation with Jake, and I hope you enjoy it too. I think that's a really, really fascinating thing about photography. It's about perspective, and it's about the way you frame the image. Like, you can have, 10 people with 10 cameras in the same neighborhood, and they'll all see the place differently. And I think that's super interesting. And also, your work's very kind of painterly, I guess, in a way, like the colors and the tones, and kind of just the, as you said earlier, actually, you phrased it well when you said earlier, like just the way you shoot images. It's it's done not in a traditional like landscape. Oh, this is a picture of a nice house. This is a picture of an emotion and of a feeling, of an atmosphere. And I think that's what's interesting about your work. That's what makes your work, engaging, and makes me curious about your work. And actually, do you think that it's important for you to be approachable and be more personable online?
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel like that's I don't know. It's like I definitely feel like I connect with a lot more like photographers that like shoot the like almost like that narrative kind of darker stuff like I do. I don't know. It makes just it's just like I guess the way you like look at it. There's like I don't know. It depends because there's like for me it's like if you go on like those like photos cinematic or those like very cinematic Instagram pages, I don't like connect that stuff because it's all like overly staged. It just doesn't feel like real life. You know what I mean? Like they're really cool, great images, but they just don't feel like real life to me. They feel like they don't feel authentic. You know what I mean? It's like it's always like someone sitting there like smoking the cigarette and
Yeah,
like
of
the
course.
perfect lighting. You'd be like, no, if it was like real life, it'd be someone like outside a fucking shitty convenience store smoking a cigarette. You know what I mean? Not like this nice like red overtones. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. And I think I don't know. I feel like I guess I connect with people's work that is more just kind of like in the moment. Like I can appreciate like staged work, and there is some stage work. And I mean, I've done stage photos here and there before, but there's definitely some staged work that I have been like, oh, that's like really cool. I can connect with because it's authentic and like more realistic. Uh, I mean, like Gregory Cruton's work, I think is like more like cinematic and like very big. I don't feel like it's completely. There's a certain like in that like photo, like in those like I guess like well for his purpose, the way I see it, like his photos, like, he always does the very
Yeah.
desolate with only like three people or a few people in it, and I think he does it to kind of like amplify that feeling and to get that like point across. I don't think it's completely like realistic in the way it's like portrayed, but I think the reason he does it is to put that feeling across. But anyways, to go back to what you were saying, I do. I used to be really. I actually before I got like where I'm at now, I want to do like I really want to do like fashion stuff because I do some like for like my one friend's brand and stuff. I do like some like like fat clothing fashion. I try to take it beyond the like instead of just taking personal clothes, I like go and buy like a Vogue magazine, like an old time, like an old like Life magazine from like the 50s, and like look at like ads and try to put like a Vogue magazine, try to put more of like more like a fashion as make it more of like an actual fashion, like if this was like fucking suburban
Oh yeah,
Vogue,
absolutely.
you know what I mean? So like I used to be on to it, but now yeah, I don't really shoot. I've been for my two projects I'm gonna do, they're gonna need people in them. I've like visualized on people. But the way I thought about doing was, I think the thing I want to do is I don't want to show people's
Yeah,
faces.
absolutely.
I want to be like either cut their head off or make it so I want so like there's the person in the photo doesn't have an identity, so you can kind of like see yourself in that position more. So, which will be interesting because the two projects I have are definitely like, I guess the one's definitely very like the subject. So it's like the ones like, because I went to that whole like super deep depressive rut, and like I felt like through a lot of it felt very, very like suicidal through it, which is like something that I haven't like felt in like years. So being like the age I mean, I felt like that when I was younger and didn't really know how to handle like my emotions. So I don't really like take it too seriously. So for me to feel it now, where I feel like I have a handle on how I feel and feeling suicidal, it took me back a lot and like scared me because it was crazy. I went from being like afraid to die. Like I remember I was supposed to go see The Cure in Texas, and I didn't go because I was afraid to fly. And so I went from being like that to being like feeling like suicidal and like like feeling like life, like I just felt like everything was meaningless and like felt like everything was almost like pointless in a way. So I wanted to do like a 10 photo series of like almost like a depressive like loop, and it ending with like I was originally gonna have it ending with someone being like face down in like a pond, so like they like committed suicide. But then I decided that I wanted to have it like the last photo would be like the person sitting up at night, like in bed. So it was being like a
Oh, yeah, I like
dream, or
that.
like them imagine if they like killed themselves, but it ends that they really didn't. You know what I mean? So like wanted to do it so I had more like positive outlook, because obviously I've never like attempted to commit suicide or anything. I only have like the feeling or like the dreams of it. So that's more personal to me. So that's the way I kind of do it. So there's that, which I'm interested to see because I don't know how that's gonna like. I feel like the way I'm ending it now wouldn't be, I guess, so controversial. So I have that. So yeah, it's gonna be like kind of like a mix of like maybe a house, some interiors, some landscapes. You know what I mean? Like stuff that relates to me. I mean, when I was like be like depressed, I go for like drives and stuff like that. So I was thinking maybe like this depressive loop where it's just like this house you see, and then like someone taking like a drive at night, or taking a drive somewhere, and then like this like lake, like a pond with like a like this car in it, and then just like a person like face down like in the pond.
So three things. Firstly, thank you very much for saying that because that's very personal. You didn't have to, and I respect that a lot. And if you want me to cut that out, I can always do so. It's up to you.
No,
I'm just saying
it's
like
fun.
that. Like I really, I respect and appreciate that because not everybody is so personal, and I appreciate that. Secondly, I think it's awesome that you don't feel that way now, and I think that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. Um, but I wanted to ask. Sorry, did I interrupt you? I do apologize for interrupting you.
You're good.
So I wanted to ask you, do you think there are any themes that you can't photograph? Is there a subject, or are there subjects that people can't discuss through the nature of photography?
Not really. I think I think like for instance like Todd Hido's um Between the Two, his second book, I think that really shows the portraits of like the women in the
Yeah,
motels,
yeah,
really show stories of like abuse, or like possibly like rape and stuff like that, sexual abuse and stuff like that, or physical abuse, because there's just like even the way he like says it, like those photos, they make you feel uncomfortable when
yeah.
you
They're
see
pretty
them. There's
haunting. They are. Yeah,
they're very uncomfortable and like almost like scary to look at,
yeah.
because there's something like there. And that's like if you ever like, because I've talked about people with it because they're very controversial photos, and a lot of people are very like against it and think it's like could be like uh it's like wrong to be taking these photos of, like these like women that are like like naked in these like shitty motels and stuff like that. But like if you ever listen to his like interviews about it and like the whole story behind these, like they're never like these like they're just like these like more creative, where it's like they just kind of like they're not really models. They just kind of come in and like no, there's really no money exchange. Normally he gets like sought out from people to take these photos and stuff like that. But he talked about this one photo, and it's like this. He said like this girl was like she wanted to take the photo, and like he's like it was like too far away from him, and he really didn't have the time, and so she like was like, well, I'll like handle it all, like I'll like book the motel and stuff like that. You just gotta come up and shoot the photo. So he's like, all right, and he like did it. He said she was like took her like clothes off and like laid on the bed and was like looking like past her body at the camera. And like he said like he like put it like in a closet for years, like and like people will like misinterpret this and all this stuff like that. But the way he looks at those photos is that like obviously through those photos there's some sort of like thing for like trauma for him in his life. I mean, he's never personally said what it was. He always refers that there was like something in his life growing up that's the cause of this or whatever. And he thinks that a lot of people, like most cases, a lot of people that come to take those photos, because there's some study that he mentioned that was like where like some people will like almost like reenact a trauma where they have control because it's almost a way of defeating it. So it's like that type of deal. And he just said there's a lot of photos that it's a lot more prevalent than others. So I just think, yeah, that's like one, you know what I mean? Because no one's going to photograph like, I feel like, in a movie, there's like depictions of sexual assault. But I think photographing sexual assault, like, I feel like photographing would be too much. That just seems like very, that seems like too much of
no,
a
no, of
thing.
course. And I think that's like that's the interesting thing because it's like for instance, it's probably not the best example, but like for instance, like we see violence in films all the time. Yeah, if you were to photograph that, it will cause more controversy than necessarily watching it in a film.
And I think the reason is because film has more context to it.
That's very
so
true.
A film can be shown, it happen in a film, and it's obviously can be shown in a negative light. You know what I mean, and showing how this is bad and this is wrong. But if you just photograph something like that, there's not really, there's not really. So I think the way he photographs that, there's like women like that. I think it like rides that line where you can feel the kind of like abuse. You can feel the story, like the trauma in the photo without seeing trauma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like the way he like says how he always makes it look like it's like right before something happened, right after something happened.
Yeah.
So I think that's like, I guess, a way of proof that, you can, I guess, depict anything in photography. You just kind of got to go at the right way because of the lack of, context, because of the lack of, dialogue. And, you know what I mean? Especially when it's just a photo by itself. I think if it's in a body of work, it's easier to add context to it. You know what I mean?
Particularly if you've got like you're right, like in an exhibition or if it's like a sequence in a book, you'd have some kind of context. But if it's a single image, I think, it's because it's out of context, and also because people add their own context. You can have an image that's the most innocent image ever, but people can put whatever context they want onto that image.
Exactly.
So talking about your images, one thing that I'm curious about actually is editing. So what kind of editing do you do to your images, and what are your thoughts on editing images? Like, is that quote unquote cheating to edit images, or do you think that editing is an important part of the photography process?
So I used to be massive film like purist. I was like fuck editing, don't do that. That's not how film's meant to be. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even like crop or straight my images. I just be like, the way I shot it was the way I shot it. You know what I mean? Like, so I always like make sure my shit was straight when I shot and stuff like that. But I think over time, and I think the type of photos I do is like the type of photos and like how much like the color is like, I guess, kind of pushes like emotions that like I have to edit it at some point because some things aren't just going to turn out. Looking, the house can be great, look great, but if the color is not right, it might not have the potential. So I actually edit my photos a lot. To be honest, it depends. It depends on the conditions. If I get the right conditions, I don't have to do a lot of editing. But sometimes if the conditions are bad or like the lighting's not the best, I have to like change the temperature. Like change the. I do a lot of split toning depending.
Absolutely, it's a case by case it's a case by case, I guess, like for the photo. But I think that's really interesting because I think like that kind of the editing changes the way that your work, like the emotion it brings to your work, and I think that's the interesting part of it.
Yeah, I think like I'm gonna see it as like I don't know. It's not like it's like if you think back in the day, they did the same stuff but just in a dark room. So we're just editing photos. It's nothing new to film. We're just doing it in a digital space instead of an analog space, which sucks because I mean I would love to do darkroom, but I don't have the time. I don't have the space where I live to add a darkroom. So I think you just kind of gotta work with what you have, and I don't know. It's just yeah. Like I think I just got to a point where I was like realizing how much Keller was affecting the emotion in it and how much that was becoming a part of my photography where yeah now I do a lot of like editing on photos and I'll dodge and burn stuff. I'll like really darken or spotlight images and kind of like make it where it's like really change it and like I don't know. I just don't think I think I've kind of separated myself from making it want to be like how it was in person. I've kind of like gone to the more part where I guess where like I want to make it like my own kind of reality. Going back to like what we were talking about before. So yeah, no, I've definitely come a long way from being purist to now I'll be changing whole ass
That's
colors
great
of
though.
my I'll be
But like
adding
that's
colors.
the really cool thing is because it's your work. Like you can do whatever the hell you want with it. You could turn it upside down and post it like that if you wanted to. It's your vision of the world. It doesn't have to be straight from your camera. It's your vision of the world. It's the way you see life. And if that's different to the life we live, that's even better. So my next question for you really would be, what does it mean to be a successful photographer? And how do you measure the success of your work?
For me, it's just to be like I guess a well-known photographer. Like, I mean, for me, it's like my biggest kind of like obviously like my like the person who I look up to in a photography standpoint is like Todd Hyatt, which is like I mean I don't think he's like super famous or anything, but he's like I mean I feel like he's definitely like he's up there,
Yeah.
but it's not like I'm not trying to be like like I'm not trying to be like Ansel
Yeah.
Adams or any shit like that, but I'm trying to be like you know pretty, I'd say pretty well known photographer around the world, I guess, and be able to, put work out that people
Yeah.
enjoy and support. So for me, that's what I see and what I would be, happy with.
So what are your thoughts on social media?
I think it's a double-edged sword. So that's how I look at it. I don't know. I hate it. I hate it a lot, but there's positives. There's like the stuff I enjoy about it. And there's the stuff I hate about it. I mean, obviously, the biggest thing for me that I like about it is just the being able to make connections with people from like all over the world, from wherever. I mean, that's for me. That's the biggest thing that I enjoy about it. It's hard. It's like I obviously have to, I have to lend all this to, social media and stuff like that. But it's just, it's like I even think that like I don't know. I mean, it is cool that like everyone can do it, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. It just gets it's so oversaturated now that's just like there's just so much, and it's like it's so hard to say too because it's like everyone came from like that point, whereas like what I mean you're just like building yourself up into like getting more people to like see your work and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard to be like because anyone can do it, and it just makes I mean I don't know. There's like the side of me that wishes that people it was like how it used to be where you had to make physical work to gain recognition. You know what I mean? I wish it was that. I wish it was like that where you had to kind of put it in that physical work aspect to kind of instead of just being like a on like Instagram only and just kind of building off of that. It's good for the fact that you can. It's good in the aspect that you can gain that audience to transfer over into physical work. So it makes it easier to do that, I guess you could say. Um, But I don't know. It just seems like there's a lot of negatives that come with it, and especially to people's like
Yeah,
mental health
absolutely.
and stuff like that. And it's just it makes it like this like I feel like it just makes photography this like grindy thing. Like we're playing like fucking RuneScape or something like that, where you're just constantly having to like, like pump out work 24/7, and like it's just like there's no time to breathe. There's no time to have uh, life problems. There's no time for anything. If you wanna, it seems like if you wanna like make it make like an audience for yourself and like try to gain like like make your way through there and like kind of get a following on there. It's like you gotta just be constantly grinding. You just gotta be constantly on it. You gotta constantly be like on it, posting, keeping up with it 24/7 every day. It's like you have to treat it like an everyday job or whatever. But and there's like no because I mean, whenever I was having mental health issues and shit like that, having like a tough time and wasn't motivated and stuff. It's like I felt like I was like paying for it. Like I was just getting like like lost. Like I feel like I just completely like lost any sort of traction I had. Where it's like now I have to go back on like building this all back up again, which I mean it's fine, but it's just like it just sucked because in the moment it wasn't helping. You know what I mean? I try to come back to it and like try to like come back into it, and it was just like just getting worse and worse and worse. Every single time I come back, I'm just like, oh, this is too much for me to like deal with right now. It's like not helping my like mental health at all. So I don't know. It's like it just seems like such a toxic like it feels just very toxic and like you know I don't know. Like I would love it. We couldn't see our likes. Like they made that for everyone. You can't see your likes and shit like that. It's just like posting on there. But I don't know. It's just like I think the biggest problem with it is that like now it's just like it's all about money on there. I feel like for like the decline of Instagram was like whenever like Facebook
Yeah,
bought it, and now it's just it's all about like keeping you on the app all the time just to make up ad money and stuff like that. It's just like I don't know. It sucks because it's like a paid platform for photography would be so much
yeah,
better, but no one wants to pay money. Not a lot of people. I mean the numbers are way down because a lot of people don't want to pay a subscription to be using an app. So like where something you go somewhere that's free to use, the audience is gonna be way bigger, and I mean a lot bigger of a community. But it's like so like I get that they have to make money and stuff like that, but I feel like it's just like so geared to like make you almost use the app. So it's like to I guess to kind of like keep up with it. I mean, obviously there's other things like you have to take good photos, you know what I mean, or good whatever content you're doing, you have to be good at. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like that's the biggest thing you have to realize. I mean, I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm great or anything, but in past experiences, I mean, I've had, like Nowhere Diaries, Film Wave, like a lot of like these really big, you know, creator accounts share, you know, I've shared a lot of my work. So I guess I have like that to at least back up that I have some sort of, something to offer that I'm like, good. So, you know what I mean? So like if you pass that where you're like you're able to take good photos that people like and can relate to, then it's just like keeping up with Instagram and the whole like how Instagram works and stuff like that, and just kind of like and it's like always changing, so you can't really you can only do so much. It might like do good for you one day and it might not do. I don't know, it's so like there's so many variables, but it's like the way they've made it to make money off of it has just made it like almost like anti like consumer. It's made like anti photographer, anti artist, or you know what I mean? Unless you're like some content creator that's like out here like on some like just doing ads all the time. You know what I mean? So it's like they they're gonna do what's best for them making money, which sucks because it's kind of like it shits on all the people that are just trying to share their work and get it out to people. You mean it's like almost like what's the point if like all these people, the 4,000 people that follow me, and it's like only 10% of them even like see my work. You know what I mean? And it's for me the same thing. It sucks when it's like sometimes I'll see one of my friends like photos I was posted like 4 days ago. I'm like, I didn't even know. You know what I mean? Stuff like go through. I'm like, look, I'm like, holy shit! When he posts all this shit, and I haven't even like been able to see his work or anything. You know what I mean? So it's just it sucks a lot in that way.
I think we'll see a resurgence of like newsletters and kind of where you sign up for a certain artist newsletter and every time they post something, you'll see it. And I think we'll see a resurgence of them because I think the problem is with social media is that you won't see every single post from every single person, whereas in back in the day you used to. But that's one something I want to talk about, which I haven't spoken to anybody about, which would be quite cool to speak to more people about, is this kind of the rise of the merging of art and advertising, and in terms of the way that every other post, particularly on Instagram, is like an ad. It's like a suggested ad, and it's like a suggested ad. And do you think it's getting harder and harder for the general public to discern what's an ad and what's just an artist trying to, sell their work to make a living?
I think when I first started getting really serious about it, I had a little bit of a
Yeah,
contemplation whether or not I was going to do like a paid. And I don't know. I don't think you should force it. I think you should, you know, if people like your work, they'll like your work. That's kind of like how I see it. You know what I mean? If they want to follow you and see your work, then they'll do that. You know what I mean? It's just like how sometimes like some people will just like follow you for a follow or like unfollow you, do some dumb shit like that. I don't know. It's like I don't like. For me personally, like I don't only like really follow people back if like I like their work. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? So I try to do that, and plus it's just like I try to keep it down, like kind of limited on like what I see every day, and just kind of like I don't know. I feel like I have like a knit of people that I get to see their work every day. I'm like, oh, this is great. You know what I mean? And like, and it's really a lot of the people that I follow too is like a lot of people I've like talked to on Instagram and stuff too, like have conversations. So like, yeah, I don't know. I think the whole paid promotion is just kind of like I don't know. It's just like it's so funny because a lot of people that I always see doing paid promotions, it's never good. Like either like the photos are like kind of or they just like I don't know. It's just like no traction. It's not like actual traction. You know what I mean?
yeah, that's true. And not just that, you'd want your growth to be organic because it's like word of mouth. No matter throughout history, no matter how much technology we have, word of mouth is the biggest kind of the most rewarding kind of marketing you can have. And if people are reposting and sharing your work, then that's what's going to get you the bigger audience and the furthest reach.
That's exactly. It's like you know what I mean? That's just like when you do paid promotion, it's just kind of going out to random people. You know what I mean? Where it's like I don't know. Especially like for me, with someone that's kind of like put themselves in a box and pigeonhole themselves, it'd be kind of like so pointless.
Absolutely.
Because for me, it's like I feel like there's a certain demographic of people that like my work. You know what I mean? It's not like it's not like some like normal everyday. It's not like your normal like you go down to like the gallery by my house and it's just like these like really pretty colorful like
Yeah. Yeah.
sunsets and
Yeah.
landscapes. You know what I mean? It's like everyone's like, ooh, that's such a pretty photo. Where it's like I feel like only certain type of people would understand like my type of work and like you
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I don't know. I feel like some of those people too are like that's the only type of work they really kind of connect with. Because that's how I am. I mean, there's people that I like. I mean, that that's like they always post these like really pretty shit. Great photo. It's just I just don't connect to it. It's not something that I really connect to, which is fine. I mean, not everyone's gonna connect to your work, but I think just the audience for me is going to be a lot smaller for people connecting. So I feel like that's what's important is if you can gain the traction in like your lane. You know what I mean? Whenever I make a post, I don't tag best film photo ever or shit like that. I tag people that are like I tag accounts that share the type of work that I take because those are the people that are going to actually like my work. You know what I mean? So
You
it's
need to
like
know your audience for you to
uh,
understand where you fit in as well.
yeah, exactly. I feel like it's important to like kind of like know your audience and kind of know where to you know where to get your work at, or send your work out to, and stuff like that. So yeah, I think I don't know. I feel like paid promotions are just kind of like cheap, and I think it's just like anti. It's like kind of like counterproductive at the same time. It's just like I don't know. I just think it's like I feel like you should just like do it organically. I don't know. If you do paid promotions, it almost makes it seem like you're just clout chasing at that point. Like I see some people, like there. I mean, some. I'm sure there's people that are just like could feel insecure about it. You know what I mean? And just want to like gain that kind of like following. You know what I mean? I think yeah, and I think we all have that like insecurity in us. I think sometimes at the time, for me at the time, I kind of thought about whether or not to do or not. You know what I mean? It's just like it's not organic. You know what I mean? It's better to be organic than be kind of like I guess fake or just kind of like pay for something. You
Yeah,
know
I
what I mean?
think the way
So
I see it personally is I'd rather have 100 people follow my site that are engaged with the site than have 1 million followers who don't care about it.
exactly, and it's like, if you do if you do like a paid promotion, it's like you're not talking as people. You know what I mean? You're not.
I think that's the thing we so easily forget because we're so caught up in the now and what's happening today on social media or what's today's views. And I think if you consider social media to be an archive of your work, have it as your legacy of what you want people to remember you by and what people want you to be looking at. Because the thing is, like when you go on someone's Instagram, you scroll through it, right? You don't just look at the last post and that's it. So maybe it's worth thinking about. And this is what I do, I guess, for the flying fruit world, I kind of have to. But I think I see it as like an archive. So rather than me get stressed about how many views the
Yeah,
latest post got today, which probably isn't even that many, to be very honest, I'm like, okay, how am I going to make sure that when somebody
thanks.
goes like lands onto the page, they're going to see stuff that they're going to like and there's quality and that they enjoy going back through? Because the whole point is you go back through the archives. That's the whole point. Same with anybody's work. If you have a potential client, they're going to want to see your work. Like I went onto your website and I looked at every single series and I was like, okay, this is cool. This is cool. Because you want to see everybody's like the total kind of complete history of the person. Um,
Like going into like the whole social media thing. I guess like because I was just thinking about it, we were talking about it. I think like I guess the biggest way to sum it up is because obviously with like social media, I mean that's kind of like the biggest way to like grow yourself as a photographer. But I think if you truly are in it to be a photographer and not like clout or fame or whatever, you'll do physical work. You'll put out physical work. I think that's like the best way to look at it. You know what I mean? Is that if you actually, if that's what you want, if you're like a photographer and you know, you're there for, you'll be your end goal is to put out physical work and not just get clout on Instagram.
so do you actually sell prints? I actually wasn't sure if you did because your website didn't say you do, but then I wasn't sure if you did or not.
So it's been a long journey. I've sold prints before, but last year I bought a Canon Pro 10, and they're expensive. I got used for like 300, and the person I think let the ink sit in there. And so those printers, they're pigment
Oh,
ink. You have to use them like literally like weekly, like a few times a week to keep the like ink from drying up. So it was just beyond. And I had it for a year and I couldn't get to work. And then recently I was like, oh, I'll try again. And I got actual like print head cleaner and stuff. And I like soaked the printer head in there, and it just doesn't even work. So it's just like the print head shot. So I'm gonna have to get a new print head for it. But like the ink for that printer is like $134, which is like that's expensive.
that makes sense. So for ink, that's
That's yeah, for ink. You know what I mean? And I mean it's a great printer. You can print like gallery size like
that's
work out. I mean
crazy.
it's like a 70-pound printer. You know what I mean? It's pretty big. It's uh so I've been having this like itch. So like, because anytime I've sold work or done prints, it's been like I've like had to go to like a print shop to get it, which the closest one's like 45 minutes for me, and it's just like I really don't like the quality, and when I sell my prints, it to have I want to be like personal, and I want to have like the paper I want to use, and like I would like to be the person doing it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
of course.
So yeah, I've been like itching for it, and so like recently I was like watching videos about printers because like I was like fuck it, I was like I'm just gonna get a new printer. I was like I'm just gonna get a new one. I was looking at Canon Pro like 200s and they're still so expensive, and yeah, I found the one. It's the IP 8720, and it's like it's a photo. It's a Pixma photo printer. You know what I mean? So it's meant for photos, but it was only like $230.
That's pretty good.
I think like the European version is the IP 8750. That's the European variant of it. But yeah, and the ink is only $54, so it's
Oh
way more
wow.
cheap. It's not pigment, so it's not gonna last as long. But I mean, it's like that shit's gonna last like a lifetime, anyways. I mean, it'll last like 300, 400 years. I'm like, will this planet be here in 300, 400 years? I was like, I don't think we have to worry about it. So yeah, no. So I was like, screw it. I was like, I'm just gonna buy one. So I got it, and I'm like, so hype. I got this paper from it's called Red River. It's like this smaller place in Texas, and it's like this nice like fine art. It almost has like a newspaper quality to it.
Oh,
It has like
okay.
a nice texture to it. So yeah, I'm once I'm like I don't know. I'm not trying to sell any prints while I'm like on quarantine. I mean, I don't think I have COVID, but I'm just like yeah, not trying to do that shit while I'm in
No, of
quarantine.
course.
So yeah, once I'm out though, yeah, I'm gonna start doing prints. I'm not sure how I want to do it. I might do a print shop. Maybe I'll do that. Like have a select amount of photos up in the print shop, or maybe just like I don't know. I'm gonna have to look how I want to do a print
Yeah,
shop
cause
because I was thinking
yeah.
about maybe, like I was thinking about doing maybe some more like I was thinking about maybe like once a month, like doing like a limited run of like maybe like 3 prints for like like $30 or whatever of like a photo, and then do a giveaway at the end of the month. And for like the giveaway, because I did this before, and I did it for the giveaway. I did like three people, and it was basically I was like just share whatever photo you would like.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, of course.
And it's great because it's one, it's great like uh, it's like good like I guess like it gets your work out there more, and it also gives people a chance to get a photo that they like of yours because you know what I mean like maybe someone's favorite photo of mine is a photo that I would never fucking print because I don't like the photo. You know what I mean? There's photos people
Absolutely.
want to get printed. It's like, not my favorite photo, but I mean
It's
that's
going
what
to be
people
like the
like.
first one
You
you
know what I
ever
mean?
posted to Instagram that you forgot you even ever existed in your portfolio. I'd be like, I want that one. And you'll be
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
why?
exactly. So I'm thinking about maybe doing like once a month, doing like a one photo giveaway where you just share whatever photo you want, and then I'll just random choose, and then whoever gets it, they get the photo that I'll print
But
and
I
send it
think
to
also
them.
the thing about printing work and selling work is that there's a lot of variables involved in terms of like, do you want to do limited editions? Do you want to do open editions? Do you want to do big images? Do you want to do small images? Do you want to do postcards? Do you want to do prints? There's a lot. So
Oh,
I'd advise you to definitely think about it, see what other photographers do, talk to photographers who sell work. Is probably going to be the easy way to do it, particularly for pricing. And just think of it like that. But I think it's really, really good that you're thinking about it in terms of not like, okay, let's sell work. You're like, okay, how do I want to do it? And as soon as you do, please let me know because I would love to own a piece of your work. I really would. That's I was looking for it, and I was like, damn, he hasn't got prints here, and I was like, what? Um,
yeah, I sure would put it up. I mean, honestly, it's just like people can just like I mean, I had people DM me. It's like I should probably just put it somewhere. Like if you want to print,
this is
just
the
like
thing.
DM
Like,
me.
I feel
So
like if you're getting requests and you're getting DMs for prints, sell prints.
I think for me, the only reason why I haven't yet is because for me it's like I wanted to be the person printing it. I don't want to
Yeah, I
like
respect that, and I
whenever.
understand. I completely agree with that because it's quality control.
Oh yeah, like whenever I was doing like would give send out prints to people, I'd like charge like really low for it because I'm like I didn't print it. It's not how I want it to be. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like you wanted the photo, so I'll give it to you. So, but for me, like I have been holding up printing because I just wanted to do it myself and want it to be a personal thing. You know what I mean?
100%.
Whenever I print the work, I want it to be for me. I'm not, I'm not going to do a third party bullshit or you know what I mean, or like the whatever it's I can't remember the name of it's called that they have where you just like it's like a third party where if you set up a shop, it's like drop shipping
Yeah, but I
is
say
what it's
so.
called.
There's
I
stuff
think.
like there's stuff like imprint, and there's stuff like what I'm thinking of. yeah, there's places like Imprint and even like stuff like Redbubble, things like that where you can do it secondhand. And I think like sometimes that's not necessarily a bad idea. Because I know a couple of artists who do like particularly Imprint is a great idea. I know a couple of artists who do stuff like that and it works out really well and their stuff's good quality. But you really have to kind of shop around and make sure that you're not spending money paying for a service that isn't going to give you the quality you want when you could just, that money you're going to pay for the year or 2 years or 3 years, just pull together and buy the printer itself and just do it yourself. It's going to be a lot more quality control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just think, yeah, like I said, overall, it's just, I don't know. I feel like when you do it yourself, there's that more of a personal
Oh,
quality
absolutely. I mean,
in it.
yeah, absolutely. Like, absolutely. Would you ever sell
Yes, I don't know.
like? Would you ever sell like postcards and or I kind of want to say stickers, but maybe not stickers, but maybe stickers actually. It could be quite cool. Would you ever consider stuff like that?
I've thought of doing like maybe like little like postcard sets of like little like
Yeah,
maybe like you buy like maybe like a deck of postcards. It'd be like almost like a
yeah.
series of just like postcard print, like little like 5x7s or something like that. Yeah, I've thought about doing that before. But I think for right now, I'm gonna start off with just doing like uh some select prints, and then kind of going from there. So do like that, and then kind of open up I guess like the door a little bit to other stuff.
Yeah, because
So yeah, no,
I think it's cool. Yeah,
definitely, yeah.
because
I think in general it's important to print your own. I mean, I've been like fiending to like print. I was like, I need to do it. I want so bad, but I just want to do it myself. Don't want to get my stuff printed out like another. Like it's cool, but it's like when you get to do it yourself and like work it out yourself, it's just so much better. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
So that's like the whole reason why I haven't like really sold prints unless people reached out to me is because I want to be the person that to do it. I want to be a certain paper and
Yeah.
look a certain way and stuff like that. So
Well, when you do, please let me know because I really want to print.
yeah,
Like,
I'm probably gonna look up on how to set up like a print shop here at some point. See like if I want to do like make all the photos on the website available or like maybe like a select like certain. I don't know.
I mean, you could do it. I guess you could do it like the select photos you want to sell, but then also have like a caveat of, oh, if there are any other images you might like, send me an email and we can discuss it. So
Yeah, yeah,
something
exactly.
like that. So
So
that way you can also because you want to gauge the interest of your work in terms of like, you don't want to choose just the most popular images and be like, yo, these will sell because that may not sell. So yeah,
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no, I feel that. I think that's definitely the way right there. That's what I was like exactly thinking. Probably do like select few and then the contact if you
yeah,
want like a
absolutely, like
specific.
absolutely, because people are drawn to very different works, and somebody might see a piece of your work, from a repost from Nowhere Diary and be like, oh, I really love this, but then they see all the rest of your work and they're like, oh no, actually, I love this. Or somebody like me who loves like probably 90% of your work, if not 100%. I'm like, these are all great. I'm like, God knows how I choose, which is why I asked you if you'd do like a set of postcards because I really want to start like an art collection, but I don't have space to hang up anything. So I'm thinking about postcards, like buying like art postcards because I have like one or two people who have sent me some stuff, which is super sweet. But I'd love to build up a bit more of a collection because it'd be cool to have. And something like postcards would be perfect because I have a few different images of yours on postcards, and then I don't have to choose one. Thank goodness, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, yeah, I might do that. Yeah, I might do like yeah. No, I was trying to think. I might do like a. Could even do like a postcard of like the homepage on our website, like a postcard set of.
because the end of the day, like for me, like what I do, sure, yeah, okay, I do the flying football for free. I get no money from it, but I still want to invest in art. I think it's great. I think it's important to, and the people whose work I love, like yours, and who I talk to and who I engage with, like I would love to invest in their work as well because I think it's important. Like the arts are important, so I think it's cool to do so. So yeah, if you do decide to print new prints, let me know because I want to buy one. Um,
For sure. No, you'll see. Trust, you'll see. I'll be posting about it.
the interesting thing to think about is well, I like the one that you have to think about, or at least I would say for you to think about. I say like I've got any experience selling stuff when I don't, but one thing to think about is like how accessible do you want? And actually, that's a question I should ask you. I'll ask you in a minute. It's like, how accessible do you want your art to be? Like, do you want students to be able to buy it? Do you want collectors to buy it? Do you want everybody in between to buy it? Like, what kind of price points do you want your work to be? That's also going to benefit you in terms of, you don't just take a picture and that's it. There's so much involved in being a photographer. Um, you need to make sure that realistically, financially, it's going to work for you as well. I mean, the great thing is that you're not obviously about money, and it's not like you want to necessarily make like a long career out of it. But at the same time, you also kind of do, because you want it to feed back into itself. Because photography is not cheap.
I don't know. I think like all the pricing and stuff like that. I think all that stuff kind of like you should obviously value your work. Like the way I think it personally, I'm not gonna go out here and be like selling, stuff like $100, like prints and shit for $100. First of all, I don't think. I feel like. I mean, it's so hard because it's like obviously there's a certain like value to your work after you release it, depending on how known you are and how good you are. If you become, like
Yeah.
say you become like like if I sold like a print now for like $25 and then like down the road became like a really like well-known photographer, I'm sure that would be the price that someone could sell it for like a lot of money. But that's off of that'd be off of like how I am. So like right now it's like I'm not like a super like I'm not like a this like big photographer or anything like that. So for me, I feel like for like I guess like kind of like pricing my work and like stuff like that, it's more of like I mean, obviously I have to value my work, and I think it would just depend. Like if I was doing like a limited print, like I thought about even doing like a limited print of like my book photos. Whenever my book's like ready, do like a limited print that for like a little more pricey, but
Yeah.
like do very like minimal numbers and stuff like that. But for like everyday prints, like I would like to like ride the line of like valuing my work properly, but also not charging people an arm and a leg for like overvaluing it, I guess. I mean, I feel like the whole like doing like a print in the book would have to be like a thing with a publisher that's like something that they would be down doing, which would be cool because I feel like that's always cool having like
Yeah.
maybe like a print that they hang on the wall or like what I mean, something like that. But like I thought of it more as like a promotional to kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah, absolutely.
like hey, it's coming out, like I'm doing like a limited of like a select from the book because it's like I don't know, it's definitely like yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like, I mean, I don't know if you look like a lot of like photographers, I guess, do books. They'll have like prints from the books that are like way more expensive than the book. But I mean, you can't frame a book, like on the
You
wall.
can rip a page out of it and frame it.
I guess you could do that, but no. Well, I mean,
I mean, if the quality is the same.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll see when we get that. Like I said, I think I looked at more just like a as a promotional to kind of like get it out there and just have like a very like limited like quantity of it. Like not super expensive. I mean, I don't even know how what the book. Like I said, I mean that's stuff that I don't even know what's going to be like in the future. I think it would just be, or I might not even honestly.
Oh yeah, of
I
course,
might not even
absolutely.
charge. I might just do it as a promotional, like to just spread the word. I actually think that'd be better to be like, hey, here's like not even give money, like hand printed. Here's like select for my book, and have it like people like would have people enter by like kind of like sharing about the book and whatnot. And then at the end of it, choose like some random people to get the.
So the act of taking photos is actually really like 10% of being a photographer. Can you just talk about a little bit about the other kind of skills and kind of things you need to also do to be not successful necessarily, but to kind of to be a photographer?
Got to have drive and motivation. I guess like some sort of people skill, especially with like social media, and like I said, I think community is like a big important part. You know what I mean? So to try to stay active. So yeah, I mean it's just like commitment. Yeah, like I said, with how it is, if you're trying, especially I think it's you mean there's also especially when you do film or digital. I mean, unless you're like a person that just scans in the photo or whatever, just uploads it. There's like the editing. If you pull the computer, you have to develop it and scan it. There's all that stuff that takes time and the kind of whole learning process of it. Yeah, no, I feel like if you're trying to like grow an audience, there's definitely like, to take that time away to try to, talk to everyone and talk to people, meet people, make, connections and stuff like that. Cause it's like, I don't know. I'm definitely a person that's like, I don't know. I don't like really want to try to be like all like the center of attention. I'd rather be kind of like more like the quiet, I guess, kind of. I mean, I love to talk about like photography and stuff like that, but I don't know. I always like want to be like more or less like let the like my work kind of do the doing and stuff like that. But then you also, I mean, no matter what, you have to have some part that's like you can go and like talk to people and communicate with people and that the personal side of it. So I think that's all very important. That's a very important side of photography that I didn't think about at first. Now it's like you know a lot. It's a lot of it. It's just me. A lot of my time just sitting on Instagram and talking to people and responding to people and stuff like that. So never thought of that.
So do you feel like you're part of a larger art community?
Um, I mean, not right. I mean, I feel like there's like I like a like there's a small tight knit of people that we always like share each other's work and stuff like that. But I mean, especially that I haven't been like uh on I haven't been on all the time and haven't been like you know super active until like recently. I've kind of like I guess fallen out of a lot of that stuff like that. So, but I mean, I mean, it's especially with so much that you just see on Instagram all the time. It's kind of hard to keep up with it and kind of hop into it. But I mean, there's like definitely communities out there that like they kind of go beyond. Like I know Restore from Backup, they do stuff,
Yeah.
and like I just wish a lot of them would do a little bit more like I don't know. I know like Analog Talks. I just like subscribed their Patreon recently because they do like I think every like third Wednesday of like the month, they do like a Zoom developing. And
Oh
that's some
wow,
like
that's
stuff
cool.
like I don't know. I just want to like hop more in the community where it's like more than just like sharing photos, where it's like getting to talk with people. And because like I feel like that's like a really cool. I think that's like a definitely like motivation inspiring. I mean, there's so many times where like it's not looking at photos that inspires me to go take photos. It's like listening to people talk about maybe there's. I mean,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I listen to like Analog Talks on like Wednesday because that's probably the biggest. That's like the biggest podcast that photo podcast that I listen to. That they're like because they all like every Wednesday they always upload. So it's like the most constant. I know like Willem he had C41 that was really good, but I just don't think he has like much time to keep up with it. But they always do that, and it's like every Wednesday I listen to that. I'm like geared up. I just want to like go like up that
Yeah.
night, like shoot photos and stuff like that. So yeah, so I'm like, I just like just go, like join their Patreon. So I'm excited to see what like that offers on the the community side and what I mean. So, but that'd be cool. I want to see that like whole like photo developing thing is like and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, and then there's I know Restore from Backup. They have their Facebook page stuff like that. But yeah, just more like it'd be cool. Like I said, I just like what they were doing with like the whole developing. It'd be cool if there was more communities that did like more like like tight knit, where like these Zoom things, and especially I mean with like though with like COVID, and it's like kind of like against guidelines to go out and like do physical stuff and stuff like that. So it'd be like it's
Yeah.
cool when there's some people bring up more like online community stuff where it's just beyond taking photos.
Yeah, if you have like weekly critiques of work and stuff, that'd be great.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think the one thing that I don't like about social media is that it's all about, oh, we like your work, we like your work, and as an artist, you want to be challenged, and you want people to say what they don't like about your work and how you can improve.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes you can have too much positive feedback to the point that you don't feel like you're progressing because people are just telling you how great you are. Um, that's not from past experience, clearly, but I think the thing is that like you want to feel like you can get constructive criticism, and I think that's quite hard to come by nowadays, really.
Yeah, because no one wants to just like openly like shit on your or make it seem like they're shitting on their like your photos. Yeah, I don't know. It is hard. I mean, I've had people reach out to me and ask them to like critique their work, and it's just like I almost feel like it's like I like want to. It's like I want to help, but at the same time, it's like I'm not like a professional, and I don't know if I'm at the right pull. I'm at the right place. I can. I don't know. When people ask me to critique it, I always try to tell them to like follow what they follow what they they what's genuine to them. You know what I mean? Because people can see that.
Yeah.
I remember, I think it was First Castle on Instagram. But he hardly like posts anymore. But he was one of the people I like looked up to a lot when I talked to him a little bit, and he told me, he said he was like, he's like just like, and I wasn't even like really asking to like critique my work, but he was just saying like, he's like, do what's like genuine to you, and like people will like see that and like appreciate that, and so I've just been doing that, and it's like I've been like, it's been like good for me, and I think it should be like a lesson to everyone is just to be genuine, you know what I mean, and not try to follow trends or whatever. Just do what makes you.
Absolutely.
And I think it will show in your work that people like being genuine. So I mean, it's hard, and especially now that I've like just the way I take photos now. It's like it's funny because I do so many like I do so many I guess kind of like what's the word like unconventional things when I take photos, and I kind of have a little more like unconventional approach about it. Like I'm out here taking night photos primarily and still use an iPhone to light meter. And like I remember like I was talking when I was at that gallery, I was talking to that photographer. He's a digital photographer. He was like I don't know if he was like shocked or what about like how good the like exposures were.
Horrified.
And I was just like I'm like with reciprocity failure. I mean, like if you just like expose it long enough, it like just it just works. That's how film is. I mean, it just it breaks down over time with like light, so it just needs more and more. You know what I mean? It's like I think it's like after 30 seconds, it's like a minute and a half. You know what I mean? And it just multiplies. Like a minute's like 2 minutes. 2 minutes is like so it's like it's when you start getting on in that long. So sometimes if it's like a darker scene, you can just let that thing sit there for like 15 minutes. I mean, I've had a photo.
Wow.
I remember we were like I took a photo of this old motel one time, and we were like trespassing, and the cops were talking to us, and my photo went for like a 20-minute exposure, and I was like, we'll see how it goes. And it worked, you know what I mean? So it's like it just
like that's the whole fun of it though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about kind of experimentation and just playing around with creating work.
And it's like with like you know what I mean? And it's like it's so like subjective too. I feel like too, you know what I mean? I don't think coming from someone that really doesn't like do things like on a technical, like I know the technical side of photography, but I don't like think about it, or I don't really apply a lot of it. Like there's certain things like I don't know, it's like just for instance when people talk about like like camera settings and stuff like that, well that's subjective. I mean, if you want more of if you want everything in focus, that's like up to you. You know what I mean? It doesn't your photo's not good or bad because part of it's out of focus. It's just like at nighttime you shoot street lights. If you shoot with like a high aperture, you're gonna get a star effect, and some people like that. Me personally, I fucking can't stand the star effect. So anytime there's a street light or something like that in my photo, I always shoot like at like f4, f5, and kind of have to like figure out like a place to stand to keep it from like it's like all subjective to what you preferably like. I think that's like the one thing about photography is like obviously there's I mean like you don't want your subject to be out of focus. Like there's the simple I think basic things, but outside of that I think it's all subjective. So people always ask me like, oh well, can you like critique it like I don't know like the settings and stuff. Like I'm like dude, it's like do what you like. You know what I mean? It's different from everyone. There's things that people like in photos and there's people that don't like in photos. It's kind of it's all up to you what you prefer. I mean, if you want to have a shallow background or a shallow foreground, that's up to you. If you want to be on focus in the detail, that's up to you. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. Like I said, if the way you like frame the photo, it's up to you what you want. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't. People obviously like my work, and I don't like sit there and apply the rules of like
the rules of
composition
and stuff like that.
When, I don't like do like the rules of composition when I'm out taking photos. I mean, I just kind of line it up to where I think it fits right in the scene and go with it. You know what I mean? So it's like
Absolutely, yeah.
And I do just a lot. I mean, whenever I shoot, I don't use a shutter cable or anything. I just kind of like cover the lens with my hand and click it and pull my hand away and shit like that. So I do shit like that all the time. So I'm always like never on the super conventional side of taking photos. I'm always kind of winging it in some way or another and get by. So
And have you ever documented the process of you creating images? So like have you ever had somebody go out and record you do a photo shoot?
no, I've wanted to though. I've been thinking about doing it here recently.
I would love to see that personally. I think that'd be so cool to see.
Yeah, I'm thinking about
Um
doing like a review on the Mamiya RB67, and then I was thinking about doing like tips for like night shooting. There's a lot of stuff that
yeah.
like say like there's like a street light here and you're shooting kind of like at it, you'll get like a nasty haze. So a lot of time I like hold my hand to cast a shadow over the lens so no light's hitting the lens to get like a clear image of like no
Oh, that's
haze.
clever. That's so
And
clever.
there's so many people that have never like thought of that are like
No,
this and they're
I've
like,
never
what are you
thought of
doing?
that.
I'm like, I don't want to haze. And like, oh really? So I'll be like shooting friends, and then we shoot, and I'll just be standing there like off to the side, like blocking their lens to help them out. But
That's
there's
great.
that, and then like there's a lot of people they even ask me. I go, I've done so many questions about shooting the Mamiya that I really just need to do like a tips video, because there's people
You
that are
should.
like
Like, you
they're like,
definitely
well, how
should.
do you like properly stop the image without like shaking the camera? Because to stop the image on the RB, you have to like I think you just all you do is you just click the lever on the mirror reset. There's a big the way you cock it. There's a big mirror that resets the mirror. This big lever, and then you have to advance the film in the back. I think if you either advance the film or cock it, it stops it. But there's a little click when you don't have to fully advance it. You just kind of click it forward. But people always worry about shaking it, and I'm like, just
Yeah, of course.
cover your lens with your hand, and they're like that'll work. I'm
Yeah,
like, yeah.
that's a good point.
I'm like that's how I do it. I'm
But like,
like if a car drives by, like if you're like worried about like if you're shooting like a I don't really do it at low like open apertures because it lets a lot of light in like really quick, so I don't really risk it. But if I'm shooting like f8 or above, I start the image with my hand over it, click it, and then pull my hand away. Or if like a car drives through, I like block it with my hand. It's actually funny. There's that video I was talking about, that news video with Todd Hido. That's what he was doing. That's how I picked up on that. There, a plane was flying through. He's like, yeah. He's like, you just put your hand in front of it, or like your sleeve, like a
that's
black, or like a
crazy.
hat, until whatever's out of frame to like it like pauses the exposure. I've even with the
Yeah, that's a great idea
I've
though.
even had like a house I was shooting and a floodlight came on when cars would drive by and stay on for like over a minute. So I just used a multi-exposure and would just stop every single time that a car would come into frame. I would just stop the exposure, and once the light went back off, I just started up again instead of holding my hand there the whole time. I use like the multi-exposure. So yeah, there's a bunch of different little little like things that are like I guess like unconventional.
Yeah, I'd just love to see that. And have you ever thought about teaching workshops?
Maybe I'm a bad teacher. I'm like
No, I think it'd be good. I generally think you'd be good at it. I
I would
really
have to.
do. And I said this to a photographer the other day. Because I feel like with photography, people should assume it's easy and it's not. And I think, like we look at it like, oh, it's an image, you just, snapped a picture of it. Oh, that's all you did. And there's so much more to it. And I think you don't really see people teach photography um, in the way that I feel like you should. Maybe that's just me being very biased, but I feel like you don't. And I think, someone like you'd be perfect because your work is intriguing and it won't take away the mystery from your work and it won't stop you doing what you do. It won't be like, oh, 100 of the people now are going to copy what you're doing. It's like you seem to have so much to offer as well. Um, so yeah, I think it's something you should consider. Um,
Maybe I'd have to
maybe.
definitely come up with like a whole ass like script because I'm like I don't think I could ever teach like in the moment in person because I'm so bad at it because I'm so like I've been doing it for so long and my like brain's wired the where I don't even really think about it. So when I have to explain it, I'm just like I explain it like it's so easy and like also I think the problem is that I'm like super like I'm like very intuitive and I like, pick up stuff quick and I don't really like when people don't do that, it like shocks me because I'm so used to like be able to just kind of like figure like almost like where you just kind of fiddle with something and figure out how it works that way. Like I can do stuff like that. So when like I try to tell someone somehow do something and they're not like picking up off it, me telling them, I'm like confused. So I just like
Yeah.
forget that some people just don't like pick up like grasp stuff as quickly. Which I mean, we're all different, you know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah, of
it's not like
course.
their fault, or you mean I'm not saying I'm like better. It's just, I mean, I suck at school. Like I'm fucking awful at like schoolwork and shit. I'm like terrible in books. So it's like that's my downfall. I'm good with like hands-on stuff, like academic stuff. I'm awful with. So yeah, I definitely have to come up with some sort of like actual like what to tell people for
Yeah,
word and like really think about
because
it.
a while back I watched I say that it's weird because it's not like a documentary, but it's meant to be like a documentary on William Eggleston. And it was literally just him, somebody with a camera following him around taking pictures. And it was actually really interesting because he was like literally just wandering around super randomly just taking pictures. And I was thinking like that'd be really interesting to see more people do stuff like that and kind of show like, do you often show the process of your work?
No, it's just kind of like I. That's one thing. Like now that I'm like kind of back at it and like starting to like fire back on all the cylinders, I've been like really thinking about starting to do like more video and kind of process stuff to kind of like
Yeah.
get people more engaged and kind of get more information and stuff out there. Because like I said, there's definitely a lot of people that have like come to me about just like Mamiya specific questions that they're just like. I mean, there's people that have been shooting like the camera longer than me that I've shown them stuff with that they're like, oh, I never even thought about it. It's just like I mean, I don't know. Like I said, even watching someone like I guess like shoot, like I said, even with like watching that video of like Todd Hido, he never. I mean, like there's just stuff in there you just kind of like, pick up on, like when you watch something do something, you can
Yeah.
just pick up on like what they're doing and kind of see it.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's why it's important. It's like it's important to not just look at work. It's important to see people in the moment doing the work. So, how does the internet impact your work? And have you ever found yourself changing your work based on the suggestions of others?
No, not really. I feel like I'm pretty set in uh, like how I like shoot and like what I shoot and stuff like that. I don't want to like jump and follow any trends because it's just not like genuine. So yeah, I don't know. I just shoot what I like and hope for the best. I mean, sometimes I ask people if they want to see more of a certain like type of photo or whatnot. You know what I mean? Just see what people are interested in. But like when I try like new stuff or whatever, I mean, normally I do it because I want to do it. Not you know other. I mean, sometimes it's. I think sometimes it's like nice whenever I guess like maybe if I like post something different and I'm like kind of like like it's like since I've like kind of put myself in the box. Anytime I do post something like a little bit different, it's like almost like taboo for me. So sometimes I'll be like, "What do you guys think of it?" You know what I mean? And you guys like, you know what I mean? So but at the end of the day, I still try, like do stuff out of my own like will and not like what other people are saying, and try to keep it like me.
Yeah, because the one thing that I'm always really curious about is where does the artist stop and the audience begin? Because I think one of the problems really with being any kind of creative is that as your audience grows, there is a danger of kind of being swallowed up by them, and they're just creating work just to create work because people will see it.
Yeah,
Um, and I'm always curious to people about people's answers to that kind of question because some people say very different things, and I think obviously that's a great answer for you because it means that you're staying true to what you like to create, no matter who sees it or no matter who doesn't see it. I think that's great.
I feel like if you like decide to create something different, you should do it because you want to do, not because like your audience or whatever. And if your audience truly enjoys your work, they'll follow. Whatever. It's like Jason Hunter. I don't stop following his work because he shoots digital now. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like the the same thing, or like any sort of like music. You know what I mean? It's like either if you like the artist and you like support them. You know what I mean? I guess it's up to you whether you want if they change their work, if you want to continue to support them. It's like just how like some people are like, oh, screw like the '80s Cure. It's all poppy shit. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, it's
Yeah,
up for you, but I mean, for the artists, they're the ones creating. They should be able to do what they want. And I mean, I guess if you do stuff like that, and then you kind of weed out who like who's your like really supports you and who doesn't, you know what I mean? So
Absolutely. Your core
yeah, your
audience.
core audience. So yeah, I mean, I feel like you should always do what's genuine to you, and you shouldn't like change because of your audience, or you know what I mean. I think it's always cool to take suggestions from your audience, see what they think, and I think that can always be helpful, especially if you need motivation or you want to try something new. Maybe take a little suggestion. I mean, I've done that before to see what like people are interested in, or if they want to see something different, or whatever, or if I post something different, if they like enjoy it or not, like that. But 9 times out of 10, I always continue, whether they say no or not. I always continue to still do it if it's what I want to do. You know what I mean? But I think there's no problem with ever maybe taking a little insight from people and see what they think. But I think at the end of the day, you should stay genuine to what you want to do, no matter what, no matter if people will follow you or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that's not the end goal is not to amass the biggest audience, it's to create something you're proud of at the end of the day. So my next question for you is, do you think that a photographer can be too prolific and overshoot too much?
What do you mean by that?
So can you create too much work? Really, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. I think depends. It's all kind of like circumstantial, I guess. I feel like if you're making a body of work that's like, I guess, has like a story, like kind of meaning behind it, I think too much in the body of work, you would lose what's going on. You know what I mean? It's almost like a movie. It's like you don't see movies out here being much longer than 2 hours. You know what I mean? If you
With
you
the
if you want to
exception,
do
yeah.
something like that, you make a TV show. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's kind of the same thing.
That's a good analogy, actually. That's a very
You
good
know what I mean?
analogy.
So it's like I feel like for me, like I said, for my book, I only want to do like 20, 30 photos, because I feel like if I start going past that, is you're gonna start to kind of lose the story or narrative, and even maybe and also kind of takes away from maybe the significance of certain photos when it's just drowned out by too
Yeah,
much. I mean, I think sometimes I think a lot of times it's quality over quantity. You know what I mean?
absolutely. I
And
100%.
I don't know,
I 100% agree with that.
I think in general, I mean, too much of something's always too much. You know what I mean? Like music, it's like, I mean, there's always gonna be people that enjoy it. You know what I mean? Most people don't want to listen to like a 7 or 8, 10 minute long song. People love that shit, but I feel like the majority of people, want like a 3 to 4 minute, like a shorter song that they can listen to that's good. And I think it's the same thing with like a body of work. You know what I mean? Now, if it's like an archival body, I guess maybe like if it's just like an archive of your work, you make a collection of your work, then yeah, throw as many as you want in there. But I think and I think also like sometimes the cohesiveness is lost too with a too large body of work. It doesn't feel like cohesive. It just kind of feels like a little bit of like a mess too. So
So how do you keep motivated to keep shooting work without repeating the same ideas over and over again?
I think for me at least right now is like, I guess, kind of taking the what I'm feeling in the moment, kind of. I mean, like the whole book thing I did, that was kind of like I like really went out to go. I had to think about it, what I was going to do, and then these two projects I have planned are really just kind of based off of like how I've been feeling, like the ones about kind of like depression and stuff like that, which is something I want to like correlate. And then there's like the other project I want to do after that was about like feeling like complacent and stuff. That I like it was like a photo I took, and I was like looking at it, and it was just like some just felt like very like, because that's how I've been feeling for a long time now, just very stuck and just kind of like bored with everything, like the world around me where I'm at now and stuff like that. I was looking at this photo, and I took like in Ohio, and it was just like, I don't know, it just felt very like so very ordinary, and like mundane feeling. You know what I mean? And it was like the red light casted over it, just like almost like it was like halted. So I did not have like this whole idea to do just like a photo about feeling complacent. So I mean, yeah. So who knows? It's took me a year to do this book, so we'll see how long these next ones take. And I think these
Absolutely.
projects, I'm gonna mess a little bit more around with like having people in them and then being a little more. I'm gonna mix it with more staged, a little more staged photos that tell more of a bit of a story. It's gonna be like short and sweet, so there's gonna be a little more staging and kind of like, especially the one. But yeah, I feel like the shorter work is gonna be a little more staged to kind of like tell more of a story. But then the bigger, so I mean, I have no idea what the next big body of work. I mean, next time after I do this book, what the next book will be. I mean, who knows? We'll see. I mean, I feel like a lot of the ideas I have are something that just kind of like pops up in the moment. It's not like necessarily something I like think about. Like I said, those two things were just like ideas I had from just like seeing an image or seeing something that like triggered an idea. So I'm hoping it just continues to do that down the road.
Like it's really interesting though, because it's like your work is very much an emotional response to the way you're feeling. And I think that's really interesting because your work evokes emotions as well. And I think that's kind of curious to hear that, because I do it in my own work as well. Like for me to start an image, I always kind of ask myself how I'm feeling and then base an image off kind of how I'm feeling or kind of the way I think about things. It's like I always keep a list of like random words and random kind of phrases that I'm really interested in at the moment in time. And they're like some of them is like super random. Um, because it's really interesting that you can base work off emotions and feelings and represent that in an image that doesn't necessarily denote that. So for instance, whether that's through use of color or through the landscape or whatever, I think that's super interesting. And it's nice to hear that you're so aware of that, because I think rather than just being like, oh, I saw this really cool image of a tree and I want to take a picture of it, you're like, actually, well, I thought this, and I thought visually what could be a great representation of this. That's not necessarily you taking a picture of somebody like lying down on their bed, for instance. So I think that's really quite nice.
Yeah, I feel like the way it always goes is like most of my images are never like really. I don't really kind of like link a meaning or like a feeling or some sort of like story to it till like after. It's like after I see the image or I'm like editing it. It's never like whenever I see stuff, I'm kind of like when I'm out shooting, I'm always looking for like where it's normally whatever catches my eye. Because if it catches your eye, I feel like that's a good sign. You know what I mean? Like there's some stuff
Absolutely.
you see from like down like blocks away that you're like, I gotta go see what this is. You know what I mean? And like I feel like so much that time, like you're just in the moment of like wanting and trying to take the picture that it's really hard to like link it. And then I think it's more or less afterwards that you're like you start to see like the bigger picture and whatever it is, going on. And I mean it varies. There's sometimes I see something I already know what it is before, I even shoot it. And there's some of it that I don't see it till afterwards. Uh but that's kind of I guess how like I like go about it all. So it's kind of like whenever it hits me, it hits me. But yeah, no, I just got to a point where I feel like I just want my work to like be meaningful, and that's just for me. I mean, maybe like I just don't want to be like I just don't want to be like putting out work of just pretty or interesting looking things. Like I said, I just like the biggest thing for me is I want people to like feel work. Like I would love if people told me like what they feel for my work than what they saying it's like, oh, this is like a good image. You know what I mean? I'd rather hear. I
Yeah,
mean, not saying I'm not grateful for people, compliment my work. I'm extremely grateful
of
for it.
course.
But I would love to. I would like for people to like. I would just. I mean, I'm more intrigued to hear how it makes people feel than than anything too. And that's one reason why like on Instagram I always like link music to my photos
Yeah.
and kind of, and I was even, I was like joking around because this whole time I've been editing my book, I've been like listening to like Slow Dive the whole time, and I'm like, I like tagged them on my Instagram. I'm like please sponsor me, endorse my book, I want to get Slow Dive put in the editing credits because it's like all.
Like imagine if they asked you to shoot an album cover.
Oh my
That'd be
god,
cool.
there's like, I would love it.
Actually, so that's actually a question I should ask you. So what would be your dream project? And or if you had like a limited amount of money, and you can create any kind of image or go to shoot in any place you'd want to, where would you go and shoot, and or where would you want to photograph?
For me, like where to photograph, I don't just want to photograph what's around me. Because even from past experiences, like I go to places that are like cool and stuff, and I see stuff, but it's like it doesn't feel the same. Like when it's around where I'm from and like what's my immediate surroundings, I feel a lot more connected to it, like a lot more like personal towards it than if I, go somewhere else. You know what I mean? Even when I go like out of states, like Ohio, a lot of places I go to, a lot of places that I've been to a lot of times that I'm like familiar with. You know what I mean? So like, if I had like a dream, I mean, having like having like my work as like I don't even know. Like I said, I'm not even like a that much of a like a high shooter because I said like so much of the stuff's like so like close to home and like almost like mundane and kind of like I mean I feel cool. Yeah, like work with like I guess like maybe like a favorite musician like on an album cover, or like maybe like if someone like reached out for a book cover. I think that'd be the coolest thing is if like another artist, another medium, like whether it was a writer or like a musician or any sort of thing like that, like wanted to use my work for their own. I think that would be probably one of the coolest things because I
That's cool.
mean, a lot of the stuff I do now is just stuff I do now. Where it's like, I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to really go anywhere to shoot crazy photos. I mean, there's times that I do go places and I see really cool images and I take them and they're good, but it's definitely not as like connected. So I always tend to, like I said, I always tend to like really explore within like 30 minutes, like an hour of where I live, and never really like outside of that.
So, in your opinion, what makes a good piece of art?
For me, I think like feeling and emotion. If you can relate to it and it pulls you in, that's like the for me. I mean, that's just how I am. Like all the music and all that stuff I listen to, it's always the stuff that like there's like some sort of like where you can relate to it is where I feel like it's for it like I like enjoy the most. It's like you know what I mean. It's like it's just like the music I listen to, like all the bands I listen to are like I like relate to a lot, or their music kind of like hits me a certain way in like an emotional standpoint. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's the one thing about like I guess that's like one of the biggest examples of like why I just love like shoegaze, is because there's not even like half the time you can't even like make out the lyrics. It's just like the melodies. It just like evokes so much like feeling. So that's like I guess for photography for me, it's like if it evokes like emotion and feeling, I think that's is like the best kind of it because it could be a great like photo like on a technical aspect, but it could like evoke no like sort of emotions at all. So I think at that point, someone's just like a photo. Where I feel like art's more of like a connection, like emotionally to someone. So for me, at least, that's why I feel like makes like a really good photos if it like can connect to you in a like a mental like emotional way past being physical. And I feel like that's like I said, that's why I'm so like hell bent on wanting my like work to be like meaningful to people more than anything, is because that's what I see for me as being like a good artist, is being able to like have people relate to my work. So, but I mean, like I said, I feel like all that's kind of like subjective. I mean,
Okay.
there's abstract art out there that's like like a cube, and people are like super intrigued by it. So I mean, there's so much. I feel like there's so much stuff that's so like subjective. I don't know. I remember when I used to play when I played music. I was such like a music like I guess you could say a music Nazi, like Seinfeld. I said suit Nazi. I'm just like always like super like uh not like an elitist, but I'm just very like particular about music. Like certain things in music will just like I can't listen to it because of it. I'm just like I just can't. It's like very particular. I feel like through photography, I've become very like open to just everything being so subjective, and like especially because I'm definitely trying to like make my work art and not just like photography.
Yeah.
And it's such a subjective thing, so it's kind of hard to like say whether something's good or bad. So, I mean, who knows? Some people
And
see a photo of a sunset and like feel something from it. So, I mean, me,
that's true.
not really. I see, I'm like, oh, that's a pretty image, and that's like, that's like the extent of it. So, I mean, everyone's different, and has different, you know, like upbringings and feelings, and so I guess my art panders more to people that have, the same issues that I have. So, which is cool for me. So,
Yeah, that works out well. And I think that's really great. It's great that you have an idea of who views your work, but that you're not tied to that. And I think that's really good, like personally.
yeah.
So I think one of the last questions, because not the last question, but one of the last questions is going to be, do you think that too much exposure as an artist can be a problem?
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's when like egos go all out of whack when I feel like that's when egos like blow up when someone gets like too much exposure. I think it's like important to, not even just ego, like an ego sense. It can also just like put a lot of pressure on you. That's how I felt when I was like starting to get like a lot of exposure. I felt like very pressured to be like putting out like super, super good work. And you know what I mean? I just felt like a lot of pressure on me and like to not like fuck up, you know what I mean? And make sure I made good work and not put like trash out. So yeah, but I mean, even for me though, I like tried really hard to make sure I didn't get like a big head about it though.
Of course.
I just don't want to do that. And I mean, I wouldn't put it past myself to let that happen. So, I mean, it's happened with like stuff like I know music before. So I don't know, over the years, I've tried to become more of a humble person. So yeah, no,
Yeah,
I feel like for me, it's like it was both sides of the coins, just trying to not get like, all like big headed about it and to, like deal with that pressure of like continuing to, you know, put out good work and stuff like that.
that's cool. Okay, so and the last question, I guess, which is a double question, so there's two questions involved. What are you currently working on, and where can people find more about you and your work?
Well, I guess to find out about me, you just gotta talk to me personally because I don't have a bio on my website. But on Instagram at j.t.f.o.x, and it's so long, so like doesn't roll off the tongue well. Should probably change that, but that's my Instagram, my website.
Just say JT Fox.
Yeah, JT Fox with a period in between each letter, and then for my
there you go
websites, jaketfox.com. But those are the best places, I guess, to just follow and keep up. Because on my Instagram, I feel like I kind of update. I mean, if I ever do something, like make a change in something, I always like put it out there that I'm doing it. I don't like normally just like do stuff and not like let it be known. You know what I mean? I was kind of like,
yeah.
Whether it's updating my website or anything, I try to let people know if I do anything kind of substantial or whatnot. So, but I'm always open to talking to people, no matter who you are. I'm always open for conversation, and the DMs are open to talk about photography and whatnot.
That's cool. Well, that's absolutely perfect. Well, you know what? Thank you very, very much for doing this. That concludes the second and final part of my interview with Jake T. Fox. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions or comments about it, please send me an email via theflyingfruitbowl@gmail.com or via social media. The Flying Fruit Bowl audio interviews can now be found on a variety of sites such as Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Music, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like to support the platform, please consider subscribing on any of those sites and by sharing this interview. Also, please don't forget to check out theflyingfruitbowl.co.uk for daily art inspiration. And if you're a creative, please get in touch for a chance to be featured or interviewed. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and until next time folks, please stay safe.